Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. The Comrades Marathon is an annual ultramarathon in South Africa of approximately 89 kilometers or 55 miles. Langley Kirkwood, known for his role as Buckley on Warrior, just completed this insane feat, and I was happy to be able to congratulate him on this accomplishment. Langley discusses the history of the marathon, training, and we even talk shoes. I absolutely love shoes. But in all seriousness, I am in awe of Langley's achievements, whether he is doing marathons, triathlons, or portraying one of the most unlikable characters on TV. Warrior Season 3 premieres this Thursday, June 29 on Max. We talk about the excitement surrounding this new season, some of what to expect, but not to worry, there are no spoilers for Warrior in this episode. However, we also tangent to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and there's a small spoiler alert for that film. No big surprise, but we did both really love it. I'm grateful for guests like Langley and hope you enjoy the conversation. My favor, as usual, is to please continue to share this podcast with others. It would also mean so much if you would rate it and leave me feedback. If you would like to help keep this podcast going and support the work I do, visit my website or patreon.com/SifuMimiChan. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at SifuMimiChan. Now, on with the show. Hello, Langley. Always good to see you.
Hi, Mimi. Great to see you.
Oh my gosh. I have to on air share all my gratitude and love for you because I was like this morning, hey, are you able to podcast today? And what's the time difference? And you did all the math for me. And you're like always so accommodating. So thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Always good to talk to you. And also congratulations, because I'm following you on social, of course, and you did this Comrades Marathon, yet another, check off in the box of the million things you've done as, a triathlete. Is that the right word? I don't see. I asked you off air for the right term for the marathon, and I'm messing up all the other things that I've said I would know about. But you do all these very intense endurance, races. Congratulations on yet another one.
Thank you so much. It's so the Comrades Marathon is a really special event. It's the world's oldest ultra marathon, and it is the largest in terms of the field. Most ultra marathons these days are kind of run as trail events. Kind of either mountain races or through single track trails through the wilderness, whereas this race is run from one city to another, and it alternates every year. So this year we raced from a town by the name of Pietermaritzburg down to a place called Durban in the beautiful province of KwaZulu-Natal here in South Africa. And the race was founded shortly after the Great War, the First World War, and by a guy by the name of Vic Clapham, if my memory serves me correctly. Mm-hmm. And Vic Clapham wanted to start something that would honor and commemorate his fallen comrades, who fought alongside him in the First World War. For the British Empire. South Africa was part of the British Empire, the British and British Commonwealth. It was still actually at that stage a colony. It was before we were a union. So this race started just with a few competitors, and these people ran in, shoes that we would look at today and go, how can you walk 5 miles in those, let alone run 55 miles, which is what the race is. So,
oh wow.
The race is steeped in history, and it runs point to point every year and alternating, as I said. So this year it ran down from Pietermaritzburg, which is at altitude, down to the coast. And then next year so this year was a down run, and then next year will be an up run. And I got to tell you that it's pretty crazy, because you think in your mind, well, it's down, therefore it's going to be easier. And when you are 60 kilometers into the race, there's a hill called Fields Hill, which I think is about 5 kilometers down of quite serious descent. So you drop down very fast, and your quadriceps by that stage are already pretty tender. So when you are running down this, I think it's like a, I don't know, 6 or 7% gradient, quite consistently for 3 miles, after you've already got, close to 40 miles in the legs, it's pretty painful.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, thank you also for converting from miles to kilometers for me as well. I think
I might be out, but this race was insane. And at that point, the pain was crazy, and everyone goes through the pain, whether it be the people who finish the race in 5.5 hours, which is what the winners do, or the people like me right at the back who do it in 10 hours and 10.5 hours.
Oh my God.
I went through the halfway mark as the race winner was coming into the stadium at the end to win the race. Crazy. That'll show you how slow I am. Okay.
All right. But, well, again, this is all objective. This is all perspective here and comparative, because you're talking about all you superhumans, basically. You guys are like superheroes running this race to begin with. And I did want to address the whole down up thing, right? Because there is a misconception, because it's not like I'm going up a flight of stairs or down a flight of stairs, because I do understand, like, mechanically the control it takes to not just go rolling down the hill. Like, going down is more on some of your joints, and so your muscles have to work a lot harder. Is that like you said, and you were already fatigued. So there is a misconception. Oh, it's all downhill, it's fine. But that's actually a little bit harder, I think, on a lot of the body parts.
Absolutely. Yeah, and can be on the joints as well. I know a lot of people suffer with their knees on the down run.
Right.
Excuse me. I was fortunate in that regard with the joints. I think I just had a lot of muscle pain, but fortunately my joints were okay. I think I did the right amount of training in terms of the mileage, and I didn't try and push myself too far out of my comfort zone during the race. And I think, so I don't know if you can call it being kind to yourself over that distance, but I'm as kind to myself as I could be. And my legs are feeling fine now. They Monday and Tuesday, they were sore.
Okay.
And then I woke up yesterday, which was Wednesday, feeling somewhat human yesterday for the first time. And then today I felt completely normal, which was great and a huge relief, because I've actually, for reasons unfathomable to me, I'm competing in a half Ironman in France next weekend. So
of course you are. When you wrote me and you're like, oh, I can't talk, end of July, or because I'll be going through the south of France. I'm like, this is not some, like, I'm going to go to wineries and leisurely drive. I bet you anything he is doing something physical.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that too. There's going to be some rest for sure, and some long leisurely bike rides, but also just one little race thrown in there.
One little race. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm super embarrassed, and I'm totally going to share this with you because you'll get a kick out of it. I was like, okay, I'm going on an 8-mile hike, quote unquote, in Machu Picchu. So I'm not doing the 26-mile camping thing, right? But I was like, okay. Wow. Originally, I wanted to just take the train ride over, but then, my cousins are doing this birthday thing and they invited us, and we're like, you know what, we can do it. And I am not an outdoors person. I'm allergic to like every plant. And I'm like, so I think I have to wear a mask actually, but so I'm trying to quote unquote train for this hike, Langley, and it's all an ascent. So it's all uphill. So it's all going up, but it's literally like 8 miles, and you're like, slow people like me took 10 hours. I think it's going to take me 8 hours to do this hike of 8 miles.
And the air's thin up there, right? It's Machu Picchu's
Machu Picchu's pretty high. I want to say 8,000 feet or something. Or
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
I think it's like 10. It's like goes from 7 to 13, but I don't think I'm going to the 13. I think I'll be in the 8 range. And coming from below sea level in Florida, it's going to be pretty dramatic for me. So yes,
up in the just having a little hike up in the Andes.
Yeah. A little, leisurely walk, but it's not a race.
Wanted Peru, so I'm very jealous. That's great.
Oh my gosh, you should come August. Right after your Ironman, just take a flight over to Peru and jump in. Yeah. It'll be embarrassing though, because I'll be like, all right, see you in 8 hours. You'd be there in like an hour. For you, 8 miles is like a warm up.
Well, everything's relative, I suppose, because there are certain things that you can do that would take years just to a little part of. So
that is very kind of you, sir. That is so kind. But yeah, I mean, just kudos. I find it so incredible because I know the amount of discipline it takes to, kind of put your mind to things. And you are always setting these short-term goals. Like they're so close together. People, I think maybe go a lifetime. I'm almost thinking it's a bit of an addiction for you.
It is. I mean, it's No, it is without a doubt.
Addicted to greatness.
No, my partner is totally. She just calls me on it straight away. She says, you're an exercise addict. So it's yeah, I am.
Well, there's worse things to be addicted to, but yeah,
absolutely. I used to, and I can't even. I just hate even say it now. But I was, I used to be a smoker. I used to smoke a pack a day, and I traded that addiction in for this one. So I think it's just a better choice, better life choice.
No, but I think that gives you the perspective, right? It gives you that comparative. Like, could you even imagine trying to go 50 miles or 2 miles as a smoker? It's just the lung capacity and everything. I mean, you probably feel like, oh, this is so easy because now you can breathe in the way. I just congratulations again. I think it's cool. And I always already, 10 minutes in, I've learned about a history when I'm talking to you because, you're full of so much knowledge. And so thank you for that, teaching me about the Comrades Marathon. That sounds so fascinating. And just thinking, like you said, versus like a trail and like the normal, path, like going from city to city is fascinating. Do you get a chance to like see what's going on around you, or is it just like tunnel vision go?
What is so great about the race? So, the race, as I said, is steeped in history. I mean, not all of it is good. The race itself, I think, that has always had a positive message and has been a positive experience for the people that have competed. But I suppose the negative side of the history around the race was not around the race itself, but around the society. Obviously, apartheid South Africa, Black people were not allowed to compete in the race until the 1970s.
Wow.
And women were not allowed to compete in the race until the 1970s because, the kind of sexist, patriarchal society that we were part of then just, decided that women were too delicate and, not strong enough, couldn't possibly do that. And, it's, I think we can all agree that women have proved those men have made them eat their words.
Yes,
there was a brilliant incident that happened in the 1980s when a woman by the name of Frith van der Merwe not only broke the record that was only broken this last Sunday. Wow. She didn't just break the women's record. She there was a male runner who was he was a good runner. He was set to finish in the top 20, which is like silver medal territory and very close to gold. And he had famously or infamously said in an interview just before the race that if a woman ever passed him on the Comrades, he would turn right around and run back to the start. And sure enough, on the year that Frith van der Merwe broke the record, she finished 13th overall, and she ran past this guy about 3/4 of the way through the race, and he had to eat his words. And I suppose to his credit, he turned around and he ran all the way back to the start.
No, seriously?
Yeah, so he'd already run the better part of, he'd run more than half of 55 miles, and he turned around.
Oh my God.
Because he opened his stupid mouth just a little too wide.
Yeah, but I'm actually impressed that he did that, because some people say stuff, but at least he owned it. So I mean, yes, that's fantastic. Oh gosh, it must have felt so good to be her, like running by him. Absolutely. Not even just, let alone finishing 13th, but like running by him. Oh man. I'm just like patting him on the back, like, see ya.
Yeah. And I mean, so there's all this footage. There's a great documentary that was released this year called Down, about the Down Run. And I'm imagining next year there will be a similar documentary entitled Up that may be released just before the race. Yeah. But I watched it, and there's so much great footage and great film footage of the race. And just so many, and I learned a lot about the race just watching that documentary. But I've also read a couple of great books about it. But you asked whether I can. One takes in everything around you. One takes in the absolute. Wow, I'm trying to find the words to describe the crowd, because it's like. You go through some pretty hard moments and times, during the course of the race, where you have to really dig deep, and it can get into your head and kind of start questioning whether or not this is a good idea, and am I actually really going to be able to do this? And the crowd really just constantly gives you the endorphins, the dopamine hits that you need, all the way down. And because all the runners have their names on their race numbers, you'll hear people calling your name out, the most kind of unexpected places and times. And it really just kind of buoys you. And there are thousands, tens and tens of thousands of people that line the race course from early in the morning until late in the afternoon, just cheering everyone on. And there was a very special camaraderie between the runners themselves. I missed the person who was seconding me and meeting me along the course with my fuel, with my drink and my food and my gels and what have you. We missed each other at the first meetup point. Okay. And I then had another 30 kilometers to run, and I didn't have any. I didn't have any food. They have aid stations along the way, like with most marathons, and they're really well organized. So you can get Coke and water, and they sometimes have, salted baby potatoes, and they'll have cut up pieces of banana and oranges and things like that. But, I had very specific nutrition that I'd trained with and that I'd set up. So I was kind of running going, what the hell am I going to do now? And I was able to rely on the kindness of other runners, just by chatting along the way and saying, I missed my second, and I don't have any food. Guys and women immediately were just reaching into their race belts for gels and candy. And, I saw a friend who was seconding his partner, his girlfriend, and he shouted out, "Do you need anything?" And I was like, "Yeah, give me some food, please." And he handed me a couple of bananas, which I desperately wanted, and
oh my gosh! So can you explain what seconding means to the non-understanding marathon humans?
Yeah, so you have a second who is your second, in the same way that in the olden days. When gentlemen would settle a dispute by having a duel and trying to kill each other, whether it was with a sword or a pistol, they would have their second who would be there to, basically try and look after them and help them, and would get their sword ready or their pistol and, steady them basically, and say, right, you have to go and do this idiotic thing that you signed up for now, and not run away and be branded a coward forever. So off you go. So it's a lot like that. You've got someone who got your back, who is there to cheer you on and say, right, you idiot, you entered this 55-mile race. Now you better go run it. And here is your food and your drink, and go and do it. So
so they have
all of these amazing people are whizzing around the countryside on different roads, on alternate routes, getting to the next spot, 20 or 30 Ks down the road, to give their athletes whatever they need. So those are the second. Yeah. Those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do that.
It's a very important job.
Yeah, maybe I could do that. I know that that running is not in my future, or these marathons, but so much respect for it, and I'm always fascinated. I love that you just came off of that, so it's so fresh. I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to you about it, because I'm always fascinated by your your physical ability and mental. Really, I think it's even more mental than anything to do something that intense. So, how fun!
Something stupid.
Yeah. Well, I like the description of the second, because it's like, okay, off you go to your death. Good luck. Or not, death or not, just depends how it works out. And I mean, but are you going to do the up since you've done the down?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you are.
They give out a special medal if you do back-to-back runs as well. So that's quite a cool medal to get. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I almost wasn't able to do this job because of a film. And then the film's dates got pushed and pushed and pushed. And eventually, so I actually ended up being able to do it. Unfortunately, I did carry on training even when it looked like I wasn't going to be able to do the race. Mm-hmm. So, my philosophy when it comes to entering races is, number one, they do seem to be a great way to book a job. It's like I feel like whenever I enter a race or plan a vacation, especially when I've bought the tickets and paid for the entry, it's like I almost always land up booking a job slap bang in the middle of that race or holiday. So it's a good way of manifesting work.
There it is.
But it's also if I am fortunate enough to book a job that is taking place when the race is on, it's not the end of the world. I've always been quite philosophical about being able to let that go, because it is so much about the training and just maintaining a healthy way of being, and the running and the riding, all of that stuff is really good and important for my mental health. And I think for a lot of people, it's a great stress release. And, so I think even though my partner is like, you crazy to do something that distance, at the end of the day, I think she's happier for it, because I come home happy and not grumpy.
Right.
And a lot of people, I think with runners especially, their spouses will often just say to them, you need to go for a run, because if they don't, some people get hangry, and runners, I think, get a bit grumpy when they haven't had their daily exercise.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, last running question, and then it's going to be Warrior. It's on. Just because I've been having this obsession with shoes and like the right shoes to wear on my little baby hike and all this stuff. And then because I typically only wear Kung Fu shoes or like high heels, so it's like one or the other. Yeah. Neither of those are good for any of this. And so I'm like going through this whole shoe thing, but I'm so curious, like, yes. Do you go through multiple pairs of shoes prepping for this? And what kind of shoes do you wear?
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you asked this question, because it is a topic of conversation that's come up quite a lot for me this year.
Okay.
I always in the past, when I was doing marathons or Ironmans, whatever it may have been, whatever, trail running, road running, ultra distance tries, whatever. I always suffered from backache, lower backache. after a long training session and after the race. And my knees hurt quite a lot. And I used to suffer from, excuse me, plantar fasciitis quite a lot, and dodgy ankles. And I, like many other people, I read a great book about running called Born to Run.
Born to Run?
Yeah. And they spoke about, how the Ramuri people down in the Copper Canyon, the Tarahumara tribe, they run in sandals, and they'll run 100-milers in their leather sandals that they make themselves, which are obviously, flat,
right?
With very little thing and no drop, so no raised heel at the back.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who haven't read the book, a large part of it is dedicated to that and the running shoe industry, and talking about that, debating whether modern running shoes are a good thing or a bad thing. And
right.
so they released a Born to Run 2, which is not as much of a narrative as Born to Run was. This is more a kind of guide for running.
Okay.
It's like a training guide, and it also talks a lot about nutrition, and it talks about shoes.
Mm.
And I decided it was time for me to actually give it a try some minimalist running shoes. And I went out and bought a pair of, I'll say the brand, it's Ultras. And I initially bought a pair of Ultra trail shoes, and then I really liked them so much, and they felt so good, and I felt so good in them after a run, that I went out and bought a pair of road shoes as well. And I did. My physiotherapist had told me that I should kind of wean myself into these shoes quite gradually,
right.
Switching from because I was running on a Asics before with a 10 mil drop, and the heel, and I've always run in Asics for as long as I can remember. The only other running shoe I ran in before, until they stopped making them, was the old Nike Air Pegasus, which I really loved because they had quite a wide toe area.
Okay.
And I've got quite wide toes. So, and I've always felt with the modern running shoes that my toes felt cramped.
Right.
They felt really constricted. And at the end of a marathon, it would always be such a relief to take your shoes off. And so that was the one thing I noticed immediately with these, is that my toes felt great. My feet felt just comfortable. They felt that they could move about enough, but they also felt comfortable and snug. They felt protected. And so I worked my way up to being able to run a marathon. And I ran to run the Comrades, you have to run a qualifying marathon.
Oh, okay.
And so I ran my qualifier in a pair of Ultras, 0 drops. And you know what? I mean, I felt so good afterwards. I was like, no, that's it, I'm done. I gave away my running shoes the next day, all of them, my trail shoes, my road shoes. Wow. I gave them to some needy runners who were wanting some running shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've made the transition, I've made the change. So for me, these shoes really work. And I honestly had zero discomfort on my joints during the race. And from a muscular perspective also, I just felt so much better than I've ever felt after a race, after a marathon. So I think there's a lot to be said for giving it a try,
Right.
Give it a try.
I mean, every human is different. It might not be for
everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, I love to hear that story that you adapted. And total disclaimer, like I didn't actually read the full Born to Run. My husband reads every fitness book there is known to person, and I get the Oscar notes. So he just gives me the whole lowdown, and it makes me sound really good. Like I know about all these books, but I read comic books, Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, Born to Run, of course, naturally. But the reason...
Have you seen the new? Sorry, I'm just going to butt in. Have you seen the new animated Spider-Man?
Yes, we just saw it
yesterday. Yeah, what did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah, the
I
animation is
loved it.
incredible.
I love the first
Great.
one. I love the second one.
Yeah.
I think they're like the
Can't
best
believe.
Marvel movies out
Oh, no.
there.
Actually, I suppose the spoiler alert.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. Can't believe they left you hanging at the end like that.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I guess we're going to be here for 2 more hours.
Yeah. Yeah. See you next summer.
Yeah, so it's building with the music at the end, right? Yeah. And Oscar's like, oh, I guess there's going to be the trilogy because you can feel like, no, there's no way they're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. Oh my God, it was so good. Like we could take a whole episode to talk about that new Spider-Man because it's my favorite Spider-Mans. You know, they do such an amazing job. I love it so much, from the writing to the execution to the, you know, the animation, like you said. My only gripe is that because I'm very old and slow processing, anytime they would come up with a little fun fact about like issue, whatever, and like it was too quick. I couldn't read it very quickly. It was too quick for me. I was like, wait, what? Go back, pause, rewind. Oh, darn it, I'm in the theater. So but it was perfect. I just loved it so much. But yes, I saw the new Spider-Man. So
cool. Sorry. And now I remember where you were when I
Oh yes. No. I'm very excited to hear you talk about the whole Born to Run transition as a real, I mean, I know there's runners and they're not fake runners, but as someone who's so dedicated to running, because coming from a Kung Fu shoe background, I've never had a lift in my shoe, right? And so so we bought Zero shoes, which are pretty much the same concept, right? They're for this Machu hike, you know, that I'm all stressed out about for my 8 miles. But you know, but for me, I'm like, oh my gosh. But then I realized I must have had the wrong size because my toes kind of hurt when I've been walking, just walking. Like we went to the theme park with my cousins one day. And to me, that was the best training for this hike it could have been. It was like 13 hours of walking around in this theme park. Was crazy, but I've been going, you know, just on small, leisurely few miles, but I'm like, my toes shouldn't hurt, right? So I think I need a bigger size, but I love to be able to splay my feet because I'm almost always barefoot, or I'm in a Kung Fu shoe, which is flat and very minimal. So I really love that, that had come out and that there was a connectivity for people and that real runners gave it a try because that's what's natural for me. So,
Yeah. And there was another thing that in the Born to Run 2 book that came up was the writer is of the opinion that our running shoes that we buy should be, I think, 1 to 1.5 sizes bigger than the shoes, than our foot size.
That makes sense.
You know, to give you that room.
That makes complete sense. Plus, in this hiking thing, I'm like, I don't want to wear really thin socks. I want them to be a little bit, you know, like more athletic socks. So I'm like, oh my gosh, my foot feels so cramped. So yeah. I'm so glad that I'm talking to you today. So I can, because I've got like 4 boxes of shoes in my living room. And I'm like sitting here trying them all on because I was like, well, the one I bought that I thought was fine, I bought half size up, didn't work. Okay. Enough about shoes and running. Although I know people find this fascinating because you are, you know, such an inspiration in that regard, but finally, Warrior 3, after, like you said, you know, it was filmed so long ago. We talked around that time as well. And it's finally here. Trailers have been dropping. Fans are going bananas. We've seen some new characters. We've seen our favorite characters come out. And honestly, I say this, you know, all the time. I really just want to know everything Olivia is going to be wearing. Like, that's my major excitement, in addition to all the fun stuff. But yes, oh my goodness. What was it like being back and, you know, rating Hoon Lee as a writer, 1 to 10?
Yeah. I'd give him a solid 8 for his first season.
Love it.
No, he's great. I'm so proud of him, man, and it's so great that it was just really cool being able to perform in an episode that he'd written, and it was so cool. It was really special for all of us, and obviously for Hoon himself. So we're very proud of him, and it was great.
Yeah,
it was, I mean, so great to be back and slipping back almost so seamlessly into into the relationships that, you know, the different actors have with each other, and that different characters have with each other. It was like back into my clandestine meetings, you know, with Diane.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of running in my regular kind of run-ins with Kieran. And then, you know, some awesome new characters that the audience will get to meet this season.
Yeah.
And a few of those characters are people that Buckley has interactions with. And there's some interesting, I guess, obstacles that get thrown in old Walter's path this season. You know, I think he thinks he's on the easy road in many regards now that Mayor Blake is demised. But wow, man, he gets a bit of a wake up call in that regard. There's some spanners thrown in Buckley's works for sure, and also some interesting kind of positive relationships that are certainly beneficial for him, and advancing his, you know, his political career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he comes up against some stuff.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Yeah. It's so funny because because I've had the pleasure of speaking to you so much online, but also offline, and you're Langley or Lamley. I've got a little lamb behind me. Lamley. And it's like, oh yeah, but he's Buckley on Warrior. And you're like, but the first time I spoke to you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird because I just spend all my time hating you as a character and then getting to meet you. And now it's a bit of the reverse. I think going in and going to watch the show, I'm going to be a little bit jarred again, you know, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my history, fun loving marathon triathlete running, you know, person that's, you know, half the time cooking dinner when I'm speaking to, you know, it's going to be jarring, I think, to kind of go back and be back into seeing you as that character.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't take it personally. It's when
that means you're doing a good job, actually.
I get a lot of really, really nice messages from people online, and they say, I mean this as a big compliment, but I absolutely hate your character so much. And when you come on my screen, I actually want to throw something at it. So.
It's so true. It's like, but what's funny is every time we're watching any show, and then, you know, there's the quote unquote, you know, antagonist or the villain. Oscar's like, well, my husband's like, well, there's got to be a bad guy in the show. I mean, there's got to be someone to hate in the show, or otherwise it's not a show. So, but what's fascinating about Warriors, like you got
to have someone. Gotta have someone to hate.
Yeah. but what's great about this show is like there's always like a moment though where it's like, wait, but they're a human. But wait, there's a complexity to the character. It's not just like monster bad guy and hero good guy. I mean, the show is so great in that way where all the characters you can feel a bit of humanity in each one of them. Different people will have kind of a relationship with in terms of seeing, you know, yourself reflected or pieces of yourself. And absolutely. Yeah, so it's such a great show in that regard. And then the action.
Yeah. And then the action. So a couple of cast members this season who are physically just so good. I mean, Mark Dacascos has joined this season, so
yes, he has.
There's been a lot of excitement about that, and with good reason.
Yes,
and he brings it, man.
Was it your first time meeting him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Got a couple.
I've only heard like the best of things from all my martial arts community that know him well.
He's just the nicest human being. He's just really, he's a lot like Hoon, but a lot happier, a lot like more bubbly. Like Hoon is one of the loveliest human beings you'll ever meet, but he has this kind of facade that is, you know, glass is half empty kind of facade.
Well, it's that rich voice, it's so like subdued, and it's not ever, his voice can't possibly be bubbly. It just wouldn't go together. That deep velvety, that voice. Yeah. So no, he can't be bubbly. Bubbly would not be an adjective for Hoon for sure.
No, be very serious, Hoon Lee. Yes, I'm very thoughtful as well.
Oh my gosh. He is the best. And I love that we can talk about him like this, because he knows like we just adore him so much and
love him so much. I thought about him. That's the one. He's probably one of the people I would never choose to be my second. As much as I would trust him in almost every other way, I would not trust Hoon to spend 10 and a half hours with a bag full of food that I needed to eat.
He'd be like, well, does he really need this apple?
Exactly. Yeah. This muffin? Nah, he's not really a muffin kind of guy. Whereas
yeah. I can see this. I haven't had the pleasure of eating with him, but I can imagine. But yeah, just as a shout out, like he has been just such a great human to know, and has been such a comfort for me on and off air, like just to be able to like bounce ideas off of, whether it's questions I have, but also things going on in the AAPI community. And he's just been like amazing, always takes my call. And he's so busy. So that's just the type of person he is. But now it's good to know he will eat your food. So that's the one thing about Hoon Lee. He will eat your food.
One area where, all bets are off.
Yes. What was really nice is I got to catch up with Perry, and he's my fellow activist. Like I always say, you go to New York and you end up in a rally with Perry. That's just what happens. That's what happened last time I was in New York, and I had him on, and he goes, Langley's just so nice. He feels like because he lives in Cape Town, he has to be the host of everyone, and he's always taking people to lunch or eat or inviting them, cooking and doing things. I'm like, I know. So everyone just has such a love for you as the resident Cape Town host, and it just sounds like such a great reunion that you all had.
Yeah, it was so great. I mean, and Sarah and I got to host the whole, the whole cast, and some of the writers and directors right at the end of the season. In our house, our home, which we've been renovating for the last couple of years. And we finally got it to a state where we felt comfortable to actually entertain people in it, because it had been a complete wreck before that. And it was just a really special day. I'll give you I'll take 3 guesses as to what I served everybody for lunch.
Lamb?
How did you guess, Mimi? Yeah, and it was just really, it was a really nice way to kind of, because a lot of people flew out very shortly after that, so it was just nice to end the season just kind of having a last kind of connection with everyone, like that. And it's great to see Shannon. Shannon came out right at the end of the season, towards the end of the season as well, and. Oh man, she brought the cast all some really special Bruce Lee embroidered jackets.
Of course, with her. Did.
Yeah, in her luggage all the way from LA. So that was really cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, it was so special for us all to be able to get back on the horse,
Mm-hmm.
And. We're so excited for everyone to see season 3, but I think it's going to knock everyone's socks off. It's kind of, the stakes are all just kind of, with every season getting higher, and relationships are kind of, there's going to be some interesting dynamics happening in relationships this season.
My goodness.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You're killing me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I can tease you a bit without actually giving anything away, but I can't.
I know. And because listeners are going, why are you doing this, Langley? Yeah. Why do you hate us?
Oh God, no. It's there's going to be people will be probably pulling their hair out and going, no! And some people will be shedding a tear or two. And some people, there's some, will be some interesting things happening this season.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to have to keep talking as the season progresses then. And, I think I said this last time, but you and Hoon we need to have one with both of you on, because you guys, talk about each other off, on and off. So like we need to
we can just talk about food, because
we just talk about food. I'm all about it.
Okay, cool. Because that is, Hoon and I, we do share a mutual love of and for good food. So
I am right there with you guys.
Okay.
Although I can be trusted to not eat your food.
Well, you say that, Mimi, and you have such a sweet, disarming smile. I wonder, though, if it's not a ruse.
Right. Well, there's only one way to find out. Oh my gosh,
you got to get Cape Town and try out some of our restaurants, because
it is on like the top of my list. So in real story is I've been researching, and I know that everyone talks safari when they think of Africa and South Africa and all of these things in West or East Africa. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm just like, I know there's so much more. And so I'm trying to figure out like, okay, what is this trip going to look like? Obviously, Cape Town is going to be a big part of it. I am trying to make this happen next year, actually. So we'll see. And, regarding the filming though, when I did talk to some of the other cast members, they mentioned like it was a little bit crazy because there was still really strict COVID restrictions. So you couldn't like just walk over and watch each other film like you did in the past as much. So was that kind of difficult as well? And you had to just hang out? To
be honest, it was hard because we have in the past always really just hung out together on set and gone and supported each other.
Yeah.
And we weren't able to do that to the extent that we have been in the past. And we weren't allowed to hang out as much as we have been in the past. The restrictions within the country itself relaxed as the season wore on and progressed. So, things opened up a little bit towards the end of the season. But when we started, it was crazy. And, we also, we had so many different units shooting at one time. It was challenging from a logistic point of view because you've got your main unit and then you've got a splinter unit towards the beginning and the end of each block. Each new block, old block, you'll have one unit finishing up with another unit starting up on the next block and shooting simultaneously. And then you have, Brett's fight unit, which is a whole different unit all on its own.
Yeah.
And so, you've got actors sometimes who will be on 3 different units in one day.
Okay.
And that was a bit that I think that some of the actors found that was quite challenging. And then, so to then also try and find time to socialize on top of that with the COVID restrictions was almost impossible. So we just had to suddenly, for the first time ever, Buckley actually made it into the stunt tent a couple of times.
I was going to ask you about that because I know you personally was like, I'll go and do the warm-ups, but like, okay.
Yeah, I did. And I made a habit of going at least once a week. And then sometimes I try to go twice a week. It's quite a drive from my house to where where the stunt team trained every day. So I got in there, and a couple of times I was there late, and Brett, I love Brett dearly, but geez, he's a hard taskmaster if you're late, man, because he then makes you do all sorts of crazy exercises, but he also makes everyone else. It's kind of like the military where
so one person's late, everybody has to. It's a team. Yeah,
there we go, which is great. I love it, but of course you feel like you want the world to swallow you up when it's you.
Right, of course. Everyone's like, "Oh, Langley, you got here late. Thanks for the extra push-ups and
as if we didn't hate you enough already."
Oh my gosh. I do need to call Brett because we need to have a conversation about all the epic things that we were seeing from behind the scenes. And it
Yeah.
seemed like they were really pushing the envelope
Oh,
this
wow.
season.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Unreal. Unreal. Some of their fight sequences are just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. What is great is that Brett, he's always happy to share like the previs that they would make. So you go in there, and I would often go and do just train in the morning with the guys, and then be able to see a previs for one of the big sequences that we had coming up, one of the big fight scenes that we had coming up, like on a regular basis. So I would always get to see it beforehand before they filmed it. So even though we weren't allowed to be on set as much as we had been to watch things like, those big sequences, at least we got to have an idea and a taste of how amazing they are going to look. And I'm so excited to see them all myself. I haven't seen the new season yet myself. So yeah.
Are you going to be watching it live with everyone else, or are you going to preview it like this week?
Yeah, no, I'm going to watch live. And so I won't be in the States at that time. I'm going to be in France. So I don't think Max is available. I'm not sure if it's available in France. So I have to find out if Max is available in France. If Max is not available in France, then I'm going to have to watch they kindly do send out screeners for us to watch if we're not able to watch live, so that we can also interact with fans on a kind of live basis.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely do that.
Oh my goodness.
For sure.
I am so excited.
Yes, me too. And did you see Rotten Tomatoes? Basically, the Rotten Tomatoes fans voted Warrior, the TV show that they are most excited about in June.
100%. That's so exciting. Congratulations. Cool. Well deserved. And it is so true. I mean, not just because the show is awesome and we're looking forward to it, but also because it feels like such a long time between the season this round. Like the anticipation is very much building, and I'm positive it's going to live up to all of the hype. So very excited for you. Well, congratulations on all of it. Just the season. I know One Piece drops soon, or is it? Soon.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to give a date. I know the date, and I'm not allowed to say.
Oh my goodness. Okay. But I'm like, I think
as to when it is, but I can tell you it's this year.
Right. Yeah. Well, IMDb told me it's this year too.
There you go.
But they sometimes switch too, so you never know. But yeah, that's what I was like. I think I remembered that being from sometime this year, but I was like, okay, I didn't miss it, did I? But yeah, I figured it was. No. I would have heard. So that's very exciting, and we'll talk about that when that releases too. And this gives me more reasons to always talk to you.
That'll be great. That'll be fun. And listen, you congratulating me. Big congratulations to you for getting your bill passed. I mean, that's no small feat. Well done, man. I was really happy for you. Proud to know you when I saw you'd achieved that. That's
thank you so much.
That's big.
It is. It was. It's kind of how I would describe your run. Like, oh my gosh, that sounds like it's really hard. And I definitely don't know what that's like, because until you do something that intense. And I can't even describe to people what it's like to work on a legislative bill in Florida on education. And it was very challenging.
I can imagine. So challenging and so much like training for an ultra distance event, and that you've got to just keep putting in the hours and slogging away. Plodding 100%. Away, and I guess people don't see the legwork that you surely had to do.
Yeah,
they just see the glory moment when you're allowed to actually that it got passed. It's like
Right. Exactly. It's like, oh, great, a bill got passed. Oh, that's nice. You know, oh, that's good for you, you know. But yes, no. Thank you for that. There is a lot of sacrifice. I had to go to Tallahassee many times and lots of hours of the day I didn't have that had to get dedicated. So yes, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I've always valued your input as we talk about history, as we talk about society and all of the political landscape of the crazy of America that you witness, and also, you know, also in your country and the dynamic of everything. I always value those conversations. So I appreciate that so much. And I know that you have to go and prepare dinner. And by the way, what's for dinner?
Tacos. I know it's not Tuesday, but hey.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we will release this on a Tuesday, so appropriately, it will be Taco Tuesday. So there it is.
You knew.
Yes, this is always released on Tuesdays. Tuesday's my podcast release date. So Taco Tuesday,
Amazing.
love it. Always a pleasure, Langley. My best to you and yours there. And just one day we shall dine in Cape Town together. Or if you, for some reason, want to come to Orlando, please do.
Come to Florida.
I would love to.
I will. Okay. Amazing.
All right. Well, until next time, we will talk more Warrior once the season hits. And then when this One Piece finally release date happens, and we'll get a lot more from you at that time. So Langley Kirkwood, everybody.
Hey, thank you, Sifu Mimi. Bye-bye.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.